it's a great idea for 95, but I don't need any road improvements. No, they all say, what a great idea. Let's expand ourselves to 15 lanes down in Northern California. And everyone goes, yes, I like that idea. And so what happens? All 11 guys, or at least maybe the majority of them, all 11 guys get their finger in the pie for their own district. Is everyone with me?
Yeah.
So what happens to our $180 million bill over here? It's now
like 300 million.
Well, 315 million. Once it gets out, once it's through the subcommittee, then it goes back to the full committee. Guess what? There's 22 other members. And what do you think they say?
They want a piece of pie.
They want a piece of the pie. And let's say not all 33 or all additional 22, but let's say there's an additional. Now we're talking about like $429 million. That's just to get out of committee. Right? Little bill. Now, medium-sized bill. Right? Okay. In the House, after the committees are done with it, it goes to what's called the Rules Committee. And the Rules Committee decides, they do what's called decide floor action. Okay? And the Rules Committee is made up of the Speaker of the House, the House Majority Leader, and the House Whip, and a couple others. The House Leadership. Okay? The House Leadership makes up the Rules Committee. And they decide, is the bill going to go to the floor? Now, if it is a Democratic bill, you know what the nice thing about transportation bills are?
They always get passed.
There's no such thing as a Democratic transportation bill or a Republican transportation bill. There's no such thing. Because they all love them. There's no such thing as a Democratic agricultural bill, and there's no such thing as a Republican agricultural bill. There are just agricultural bills. But for the most part, in the House, if there's a bill that the Democrats are trying to push through, the House leadership, it'll die right there. Does the House leadership, does the Rules Committee have these four options on a bill? Absolutely. They can do anything they want. But let's say that everyone's on board and the bill, the Rules Committee says, yes, let's go to the floor. On the floor, a couple of options. Amendments, right? Amendments, debate, which is limited, right? And then vote. Right? Now, what are amendments? Amendments are where members of Congress who are not on the Rules, Committee and not on the Transportation Committee say what? I would like a bridge to somewhere. Okay? And sometimes they get that. And so our $429 million bill is now $584 million. Debate is limited. Each member gets 5 minutes to debate on the bill. That's it. 435 times 5 is a lot. Right? And so there's a lot of time that these guys are debating, and some are saying, oh, this is a great idea, and some are saying, oh, this is the worst idea ever. Then they vote. Okay. Then what?
Well, if it gets amended, doesn't it have to go back to the committee, or is it?
No, not yet. But let's say it passes the House. Or passes the House. Then it starts over in the Senate. Okay. Now our bill is, what do we say, 584? And these guys will get S317. Okay? S317. And this guy's bill is, what do we say? It's 584? 584 million. Guess what? Committee, Subcommittee. Committee. Which committee?
Standing.
Standing committee, which one? Transportation Committee. Is there a Senate Transportation Committee like there is a House Transportation Committee? Yeah. And guess what? What do you think is going to happen? Are these guys going to go, this is a total waste of government money.
They want some
This is a waste of the taxpayers' money. They're not doing that. What are they doing?
Getting the fingers in the pie.
They're saying, putting their fingers in the pie, by the time it gets all the way through, you're talking about a $789 million bill. Now you're talking about some real money, but not really. Okay? You're not really even talking big money until what?
Billion?
100 billion. Okay? That's some real money. Okay? We spend something like, to this moment, we spend something like $180 million in Iraq every 15 minutes. Or something like that.
But side note, where does that money come from then? If we have that type of budget to spend, like throw away 180 million? Like,
Well, not throw it away. We can make the country better. Come on. Well, it comes from revenue sources, which are primarily income taxes. Okay? So taxes that the government collects, that we all pay into. You guys work, I work. We pay money into income tax. And they take that money, which is several $1 trillion, actually it's like $17 trillion, and they use that money for this, all of our money. Okay? Does that make sense? So let's go even bigger. Let's go, now we're at, after it gets through all this, now it's 2.7 billion. All right? Now, unlike the House, in the Senate, one guy determines whether a bill in the Senate gets to the floor.
You said one guy?
One guy, the Senate Majority Leader. Let me tell you a secret. All right? The Senate Majority Leader is probably the second most powerful man in Washington, D.C. And you don't even know who he is. Huh? Harry Reid of Nevada. You could argue third. You could argue the Speaker of the House is really second and he's third, or whichever way you want to argue it. The Senate Majority Leader, Harry Reid. Now I'm going to tell you a story about a bill that made its way all the way to the Senate Majority Leader, and it made it all the way through the House, and the vote was like 430 to like 5. People were in favor of this bill. And it went to the Senate, and it was 98 to 2. They were like going to vote on it. They counted up, the whips counted it. 98 to 2, the vote was going to be massive, and Harry Reid said, not making it to the floor.
What was the bill?
Great question, I'll tell you. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, the United States decided that it was going to take all of its nuclear waste in the country, made by nuclear weapons and all sorts of stuff, all this waste is generated. And we decided like 20 years ago, we were going to take all this waste and we were going to hollow out, I shit you not, we were going to hollow out the inside of a mountain. And we were going to take all that waste, ship it to this mountain, and stick it there forever. And everyone said, that's a great idea, let's do it. And so for 20 years we've built this, we've hollowed out the inside of a mountain. The name of the mountain? Yucca Mountain. Yucca Mountain. So for 20 years they've been working on this. And about 3-4 years ago they finished. And they said, time to start shipping the waste to Yucca Mountain. It's ready, good to go, right? And so they gave authorized money to start shipping this waste to Yucca Mountain. Goes all the way through here, goes all the way through here, gets to the Senate Majority Leader. The Senate Majority Leader says, beep, no floor action on this bill. Why? What?
Why wouldn't they do all that before they started digging a hole in the mountain?
Well, they paid for the digging of the... Because when they started, this guy wasn't the Senate Majority Leader. Let's start there.
Well, they should have. Then they definitely should have done that earlier, because then it would have been passed. completely, and then they
And
could
he's
have
been
just
Senate
put.
Majority Leader, I mean, it was 20 years ago, and he's been Senate Majority Leader for like 10 years. So, I mean, there's a little bit of a disconnect. Actually, we're waiting for him, they're waiting for him to go away, and then they're gonna pass it. But as long as he's Senate Majority Leader, this Yucca Mountain, which costs billions of dollars to make,
Why
just
wouldn't
sits
they
there.
pass it? Is it
you
just-
tell me one. Yucca Mountain's in Nevada. Where's Harry Reid from? Nevada. And he goes, he basically says this, you aren't sending your fucking waste to Nevada, right? You're not sending your waste to Nevada. I don't want this thing here, right? So when it says it passed the Senate 98-2, or, you know, that was the vote count, they never got to the floor, but 98-2, who are the two senators who,
Nevada.
the two from Nevada were like, this is an outrage, right? This is an outrage, this damn thing's gonna get,